Stephen. How are you?
I'm doing so well. How are you today?
I'm doing fantastic. Do you know what today is?
Let's see. It's February 4th, so it is World Cancer Day, right?
Yay! It sure is. And I am so thrilled and honored to have you here with me because apart from being Thursday, February the 4th, and being Thriver Thursday, which is a very special series within the Red Diva channel, to have you here with me is just such a privilege, because I really would love for all of you out there that don't know who Stephen is, I would love for him to share a little bit about his story and and just really inspire all of you, that whether you are a survivor or you know someone that is, that you can find inspiration from his story, and yeah, and just be able to see how other people are able to achieve and overcome obstacles that are thrown in their direction. So tell me a little bit more about your story, Stephen. I know that back in 2013, right, you were diagnosed at 28 years old with colon cancer.
Yeah, it was actually 2014. It was, gosh, it seems so long ago now, and it really wasn't. But yeah, I was 28 years old. I had been suffering some abdominal issues for the greater part of 6 months. They started off very, very mild, and then as time went on, things got worse and worse to the point where I was actually on vacation in Jamaica, and I had the worst time possible. I was in the hotel room the entire time, just doubled over in pain. So as soon as I got back to the States, I decided I had to do something. I went to the ER several times. I think I went 3 times. And each time I was told that I was too young for cancer. I explained to them a kind of backstory. My grandmother actually had colorectal cancer when she was 35. And so when I found that out, I was telling the ER, look, I have this family history. I don't know anything about cancer, but I'm telling you, there's something inside of me that it's not supposed to be there. Um, no one listened. And I know now people who are under 50 often face that with doctors and ER visits. When they're showing symptoms of colorectal cancer, it's so hard to get a colonoscopy or anyone to really listen to you now. Um,
Exactly.
Fast forward just a little bit, a couple weeks, and I was able to get into a primary care doctor, a brand new one, and I begged her. I said, "Please, you have to help me. I need a CT scan, peace of mind, because maybe it's IBS, maybe it's Crohn's, maybe I'm
Right.
allergic to like everything ever."
Yeah.
I was in that much pain, and thankfully she listened to me. I mean, pain is painful.
Pain
There's
is
nothing you can
painful.
do.
Like anytime
Um,
your body is not well, you feel it from the top hair on top of your head to your pinky toe, and it really blocks any way to live and function, so it's like your body knows. I always tell people, listen to your body. Your body is telling you something's not right. Don't ignore it. Don't keep dragging it out, because if there is something going on inside your body, you need to be able to find out, figure it out. The earlier you catch whatever it is much better to handle a situation from the beginning instead of something that's been dragging on for months or even sometimes years for certain people. Absolutely.
right. You're exactly right. Like, your pain is not normal. And for anybody watching, someone will listen to you. You just have to keep going through all those no's until you get that yes. When you need a scan, when you need someone to take you seriously, you just have to be your own best advocate.
Absolutely.
Fortunately, I inherently did that, and I found this primary care doctor, and she scheduled a CT scan for a week after I saw her. But as we were leaving her office, I had lymph nodes in my back explode to like
Wow.
this big. They were about the size of a peach, and they were scattered around my back. And I said, "Please, you have to touch my back. It's happening." And so she touched my back, and as soon as she did, I saw her face completely change. And she right then and there said, "We're going to move your CT scan from next week till to tomorrow." So the next day, I went in for a CT scan, and 24 hours will do remarkable things. I remember telling myself it's not cancer. It's not anything that bad. It can't be. And I
Right, because
convinced
you were so
myself over the
young.
span of 24 hours that it wasn't. Right. But I knew. but I knew differently. So I had the scan, and 2 days later, they called me into the office, and I remember leaving my husband at work. We worked together at the time, and I said, "It's gonna be IBS. I'll be right back. Don't worry. I don't know why they're calling me in to tell me this." And I walked in, and the head of the practice walked in, and I had not met him before. And I knew, since he was there and my primary care doctor was there, that something was very different about what they're about to tell me.
Yeah.
And I remember, like it was yesterday, he walked in and said, "I'm Dr. Hines, and I'm here because you're going to have a lot of questions, and what we're dealing with here is very serious."
Mm.
The way I remember it happening after he said that was, in movies sometimes where something happens and everything slows down and it sounds like you're underwater, and it's
Yes.
just this weird being, it's this weird state of time. And I felt like I
Yes.
was falling as he was telling me and showing me the scan of my body. And I looked at the abdominal area, and it was just black. And I remember thinking, that can't be good.
It's like
And
you're
turns
watching a
out it
movie
wasn't.
and it's happening, right? Like
The
you're watching a movie and it's happening to someone
right.
else, and you're just like, you're in shock for that other person or that character in the movie, but you're like, no, they couldn't be talking about my body. Right?
Right. And it turns out you're the lead character in this horrible movie you don't want to be a part of. And that horrible movie extended for 6 years for me. It was, as soon as they diagnosed me, I went in for emergency surgery. They removed part of my colon. They said it metastasized. It was involved with my mesentery. It was involved with blood vessels and vital structures. I was inoperable, besides removing the colon tumor. Uh, they One thing I'll never forget is that after my surgery that happened so quickly, uh, the doctor put a note on my door and said to all visitors and all nurses they were not to discuss my prognosis with me because it was that dire and he needed me to have hope to heal.
Right, right.
Word got out pretty quick. uh, it was very evident to me that something was not right. uh, and I was told at that point that I had to go to see an oncologist. So I went after 3 weeks of healing, and then I went to go see an oncologist. I knew immediately she was not for me, but I humored her for a couple months. We started FolFox. She treated me like your average 70-year-old man who had colorectal cancer, even though I was 28. Uh, she didn't want to hear anything about clinical trials. She didn't want to hear anything about anything really. Um, and at that point, I really understood that I had to do something different. I had to learn what was going on in my body, and why. At 28 years old, why did I have cancer?
Right, right,
Not like why me, but why? What
right.
caused this? And what can I do? Is there anything I can do? Because this oncologist lady over here just gave me a year to live, and so I'm racing against the clock.
Right.
Um, I go through chemo and I start advocating for myself. I learned that through genetic testing that I actually have something called Lynch syndrome,
Mhm.
which is a genetic disorder that predispositions me and my family, my grandmother, uh, to colorectal cancer and a plethora of other cancers. But it turns out my grandmother had it, my mother had it. So during my stage 4 diagnosis, they went and checked my mother because of the Lynch syndrome, confirmed she also had Lynch, and then confirmed
Oh,
that she had stage 2 colorectal cancer growing inside her. She was
wow.
asymptomatic.
Oh my
It was on the
gosh.
verge of becoming stage 3. Yeah.
That
And
is incredible.
that was something where I was like, you know what? It just made me think, if I die, at least I saved my mother's life.
Exactly.
And that was a
Exactly.
moment that I thought, this is gonna be okay no matter how it works out.
Right,
I've done the good.
right.
Fortunately, spoiler alert, I did not die. So, um,
I
what
would
I
be
ended up
talking to
doing was
myself
advocating
right now, right?
myself. Right. Maybe I'm just a ghost. Who knows?
Ooh,
Stranger things have
technology.
happened the last couple of years. So,
Exactly. Exactly.
right. What I learned with the Lynch syndrome was that it made my cancer different in a variety of ways. But the most important way was that it made my cancer something called SI high, which, without getting too scientific, means my cancer had a lot of DNA damage in it compared to someone else with colorectal cancer who just got it on their own. Since
Oh.
mine was hereditary, mine was caused by just DNA smashing up, being incorrect, and never correcting itself. So my body was already primed to fight this cancer. If you looked at my tumor, it was covered in, I think it was their lymphocytes, like white blood cells. My immune system was trying to attack this tumor, but didn't really know what to do. A sporadic colorectal cancer patient doesn't have that really.
Mhm.
So what I ended up doing after an experimental surgery that nearly killed me, it was called nano knife. That's the whole nother no. So we'll save that for next time. But I ended up enrolling into a clinical trial with an immunotherapy drug, and it was at the time unnamed. It had a bunch of numbers and letters. It was MPDL 3280A, and I'll always remember that.
Mhm.
Uh, I started on this clinical trial at the University of Colorado, and I knew within the first treatment that something was different. Uh, the pain it caused me was so intense. As the drug was dripping into my body the first time, it was almost like a heart attack at the tumor site. The tumor started like convulsing and throbbing, and you could almost feel it. Uh,
Yeah.
I remember they passed me out. Right, right. I imagine it making that kind of like that kind of face.
Yeah,
Um,
like it's like when
but
you're
they gave me a
when you
lot of
have a
morphine that
roach,
day.
when you have a roach in the kitchen and you spray it with that Raid spray, and all of a sudden you're like, and then they're like, like realizing that you're basically killing them with the spray, and they're just kind of like, what is this happening here? Yeah.
It's just like that. So uh, gosh, I remember they gave me a lot of morphine, and I was so thankful because that actually helped. I went home and took some sleeping pills. I don't advocate that, but I did. And I remember waking up the next day, and I went out into my living room and found my husband and said, "Something is very different. This is the first time have felt well in over a year." And I could tell immediately that there was something in my body very, very different. Long story short, I spent about 5 years on that trial. The first year and a half, uh, it was February 2016,
Hmm. Hmm.
right before Valentine's Day, and I was cutting someone's hair, and the hospital called me after a scan, and I picked up, and I was expecting really bad news, and it was a nurse, and she was crying, and she said, "Stephen, we can't see the tumor in your body, and we can't see any cancer anywhere." And so since that date,
Hmm.
February of 2016, I was NED, and now it's 2021. So, it's been a minute. They officially declared me cured of colorectal cancer earlier this year. I have stopped all treatment since November of 2020.
Incredible.
Um, I'm just being followed. I'm a big advocate. Since then, an important part of the story is that I joined up with the largest colorectal cancer nonprofit in the world, the Colorectal Cancer Alliance, as the manager of community engagement because I wanted people to have somewhere to go. I wanted people to have somewhere
Yes.
to be themselves and to find that community that I missed and that I
Yes.
needed. And actually, the Colorectal Cancer Alliance was there for me as I was going through all my stuff. And funnily enough, it's funny how everything kind of connects,
Hmm.
but they actually partially funded the trial that ended up saving my life. So it was this whole kind of like coming back home when I started working for them. And I've been with them for 3 years now. Um, and since then, it's just been, you know, it's been my own little horror story that turned into something pretty great.
I'm a firm believer that life sometimes brings into your life something quite tragic and unfortunate, but for those that are able to sort of transform that negative experience into something that not only helps them survive that experience, but also is able to impact so many lives from that experience, to be your testament, and your story. It's helped people since the time when you were diagnosed until now, and it will continue to do so. And with medicine, it's incredible because when I got diagnosed back in 2009 of breast cancer, I already had family history of cancer in the colon cancer area, and I got genetic testing, and I tested negative for the BRCA, which was, all the ones that are connected to breast cancer. At the time, though, in 2009, they did not have the Lynch genome identified. So when I did, all the genetic tests, the Lynch was not even part of anybody's vocabulary at the time. So I was never tested. But
Wow.
the colon cancer relationship within my family is actually very immediate. My mom's brother, one of her brothers, passed away. He was diagnosed and he was already stage 4. So he lasted less than a year. He was already in his mid 60s. But my sister, Rosanna, I'm the youngest of 5. She was the next one up. We were 8 years apart from each other. She was 8 years older than me. And at age 36, she got diagnosed with colon cancer. But it took many trials and errors on the part of the oncologist and to understand exactly, because I think hers in particular was like the right colon, which is sometimes harder to detect because she never had a
Right.
tumor inside the actual colon tract. Hers had already come out and was almost like a web of like a spider web that had wrapped around the right ovary and the appendix. And so when they
Oh,
had given her like regular gynecological exams, like maybe 3-4 weeks earlier. And then all of a sudden she started getting a right side pain. And then when they did exams, they saw this kind of spider web situation. And that's when they took her right ovary in the appendix and they gave her some chemo. And I think she might've done some radiation. And then when she got scanned again 3 months later, they found that the spider web had moved to the left side of the body. So then at that point, they took out the other ovary and then they started removing things and stuff like that. But so it was and this was back in 1996 or 97. And she basically
wow.
passed away
Mhm.
a month exactly to her 40th birthday in 2003. And so
Oh,
medicine and science, from those days to now, it's just incredible the amount of progress that the cancer community has brought forth in order to not only treat cancer in a completely different way, but also to understand it and for people to not only get the right treatment that's tailor-made for them. And so not everybody's treated like you said, like a 70 or 8-year-old man, that younger people can
right.
not only fight this, but also thrive afterwards, but every single year that goes by, I think about like, would my sister, if she would have had the cancer now and she would have had the opportunity to have it better understood, and also the approach for her, it would have been completely different, and she would very well be here with us, but that's what cancer does. It just it takes people way too soon, and especially when they're almost like ahead of their time. I mean, all these young people that were not able to make it, like yourself, and it's because of the fact that the science was just not there, but now it is. And I've mentioned to so many people about you and the incredible a miracle that the immunotherapy drugs have done for yourself and for many others. And it is no longer a death sentence, and there is always some opportunity to treat the cancer, so that's
Right. Medicine right now
amazing.
is moving at such a wild pace. It's impossible to keep up with what they're discovering. And immunotherapy, I really do believe, is going to be kind of the future. First
Yes.
off, with precision medicine,
Yeah.
but beyond that, I think that one day, in probably 5 to 10 years, we're going to look back and think, "Wow, chemotherapy! I mean, that was barbaric."
Oh, absolutely. And even
I can't
surgery,
believe
even
we did that
surgery,
to
removing
people.
so much.
Yeah, the loss of a limb, of a body part, of an organ, it's all just so there's just so much
Primitive.
to grieve around cancer, the loss of loved ones.
Yeah.
It's we're getting there though. I have full faith that we are getting
Yeah.
somewhere good pretty fast.
Absolutely.
Fast
Absolutely.
enough. No, 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 no. I take
Absolutely.
that back. No, not fast enough. We're getting there.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. So when you tell me about what was the first thought that came through your mind when you got the diagnosis and it was confirmed that you definitely had cancer? What's the first thing that flashed inside of your head?
I don't know if I should say it. It was an expletive, but you know, it was
Yeah.
kind of an oh shit moment.
Yeah.
That was my first thought was oh shit. My second thought was I knew it. I
Right.
knew it, and I was right. And
Mhm.
I had to call my family. And in
Yeah.
my head, I thought they're not going to believe me. Um,
Right.
but that was really the first thought I had was I knew it.
I knew it. Me too. Exactly that. Because your body knows, and you should never ever ignore your body. So yeah, absolutely. Um, if you were to find young Steven on the street or through a friend, and you had a conversation with him in regards to what you know now, what advice would you give young Steven, the 28-year-old?
If I met myself right after I got diagnosed, and I know what I know now, I would tell myself that it is okay to feel, and it is okay to be scared, and it is okay to have negative days. It's okay to not be strong, but you cannot be stuck there because
Mhm.
I got stuck there. I think we all got stuck there.
Yeah,
I think cancer
absolutely.
does that very well.
Yeah.
It gets you stuck. Uh, and there were days where I felt like I stayed stuck a little too long. I'd also tell myself to trust myself because that's this entire journey. I trusted my instincts. I trusted my research. I trusted that I knew my body the
Mhm.
best out of anyone who's helping. Um,
Exactly.
so that's what I think I would say. You know, it's oh, one
Yeah.
other thing. Uh, I would tell myself to seek help.
Right.
Mental health is something that cancer erodes very, very quickly. And
Absolutely.
I find that in the cancer community, mental health is one of those things where we as survivors talk about it with each other, but the providers don't always talk about it with us. And what
Exactly.
I found was survivor's guilt really, really ate me up. When you're going through treatment, you have a pattern. You've got weeks where you do stuff and a week off, and then another week where you do
Right.
stuff, and it's all appointments all the time. You're on a
Mhm.
schedule.
Yeah.
But then when I was no longer doing that, I was no longer busy. And all of a sudden, I had enough time to comprehend what was happening to me. And all these emotions just flooded over me and ate me up. And I got to such a dark place.
Right.
And I was not strong enough. No, no, no. I was not wise enough to
Mhm.
seek help at that point. So I would tell little junior Steven, 28 years old, buckle up and get some help, buddy. So,
Right. Because you're going to need it, and it's okay to need it. It's okay to allow yourself to accept that outside help in figuring out what's going
mhm,
on inside of your head. It's yeah, absolutely. And people around you are going to want to help. They may not always know exactly what to say or how to say it. And, but if you, as a young person, newly diagnosed, can understand one thing, you are surrounded by love. It may not come in the package that you want, but love is present, right? So understanding that,
mhm,
that is love, take that loving energy and allow the people that are around you to love you and to give you whatever you need, but you have to work with them. It's kind of like help me to help you. you know if you want, and
right.
you're going to need help, that's a given. It's not even about wanting help, it's about you're going to need help. Because we cannot go through this alone. You need that
Oh, yeah.
village support around you, whether it's your doctors, your family, your loved ones, whatever. You're going to need that help. So fighting and keeping people away and pushing people away, it's just, you're going to need that energy to fight the cancer. Don't fight the people that love you. You know what I mean? You may disagree with what they want to do for
Right.
you or how to do it, And that's okay, because that's difference of opinion is always going to happen no matter what. So, but if you understand that they love you, then open up the lines of conversation on a positive note, because they're there to help you. And if they come to you and they have the wrong information, then you both can get together and go seek the right information. But don't shut people down from wanting to love you and be there for you, because otherwise it's too exhausting. You're worn out at the end of the day. You're like, oh, you have no energy left for that. That's just too much
Right.
drama. And
Yeah. Yeah.
you got to remove that drama out of the equation, because you're going to need your strength and you're going to need love. So just accept that love,
Right.
don't push it away,
I love it. That's gonna be a hashtag. It'll be like hashtag accept love or hashtag love lifts, something like that. We'll come up with something cute and we'll
Exactly.
sell it.
Yes,
Copyright
yes.
it. Trademark.
So tell me, so you mentioned a lot, obviously, that Kenley, your husband, he has been a rock for you, right? I mean, even on those days that you thought,
Yeah.
I'm not going to be here, I'm not going to be here, like, I don't want to be stuck here in this situation and be like almost like a burden to him, right?
Right. Uh, he was someone who he just got it. His brother had leukemia when his brother was younger and battled it for 19 years and is still alive today. Like he made it.
Wow.
But I think that growing up in that household, in that environment, really prepared him to care and to be patient and to understand that there are going to be really, really bad days, but there was going to be good days too, and
Mhm.
that if we just work together, we'd get through it one way or another.
Right.
And unfortunately, it was a good way, but we've been together now for about 13 years. So
Amazing.
we've grown up with each other. It's been wild, but it's weird to say you've done anything for 13 years,
I
but
know, right?
um,
Good
it's
for
like,
you.
golly, that's a long time.
I
Uh,
know. And
but it's been
especially
good,
because not everybody's a good caregiver, so
no,
obviously he figured it out and was able, and also,
it's a
and you didn't
talent.
push him away either.
I tried. Couple times I definitely tried,
Mhm.
but yeah, caregiving, and shout out to all the caregivers watching this. They
Absolutely.
are just everything. No one can do it alone, and
No,
the caregiver. So to survivors, accept the love, and to caregivers, take care of yourself. It's okay to take
absolutely.
care of yourself. You cannot pour from an empty cup.
Right.
And thank you for World Cancer Day is every bit as much your day as it
Absolutely.
is Survivors Day.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think for a long time, caregivers were not given the recognition that they deserved, but I think that in the last 20 years, at least, with more support groups out there, and the capacity of people to be more open in expressing their emotions about their loved ones going through cancer. I think that that's really, really important, because, like you said, we cannot do it alone. And they are going through the cancer. Cancer is not something that just happens to you, it happens to everybody that you're in contact with. And it's such an impact, but they need that extra support. And survivor support, caregiver support is so important, to acknowledge that, and, like you said, for them to take good care of themselves, in the
Right.
process. Um,
Absolutely.
most most people think that cancer has taken away something, because, like you said earlier, we might lose a body part,
Mhm.
and so that, and even just the way that the body feels, and then the way that the life feels and looks after a cancer diagnosis. So most people think about the negative impact of cancer in their life, but what has cancer done? What has it added to your life because of having had cancer?
Ooh, that's a that's a good question. Cancer has given me community that I deeply, deeply needed. With that now and what I do for a living, the community that I'm a part of, and the community that I've pro or been accepted to has been such an gift. I meet these people who are mothers and fathers and brothers and sisters and who are just trying to make it day in and day out and who show this strength that just inspires me. It has given me community beyond what I could have ever imagined. It's given me the gift of self-awareness. It's giving me the gift of valuing myself. Uh, Cancer is not a gift, but it can give you such wonderful perspective and such deeply personal changes, if you just know where to look, and if you can look on maybe not the bright side, but the other side of what's going on. There's always something to learn, even with a stage 4 diagnosis. Some of the wisest things I've ever been told were told to me by people who are no longer here.
Yeah.
Um, it's given me an understanding of grief, of sadness, of accountability, of the fleeting state of your health. Like, it's
Oh,
given me
yeah.
so much.
Mhm.
You just all of a sudden you realize anything can happen. You can walk outside and really you can be hit by a bus. Just with you and
Right.
I, the bus was chasing us. So,
Exactly.
but it gave me a lot. And I would 100% give the cancer back, but I would not give those lessons
Those
and
lessons.
those yeah, I would not give those back. I couldn't. I'd be betraying too many people if I did that.
Exactly. Exactly. What keeps you up at night still, even though you are completely no evidence of disease, Ned? Like what still keeps you up at night? What are some of the things that kind of fill your mind at night that keep you from getting that rest?
So, I've always been someone who I like taking care of people. Like Christmas, I'm the guy who likes to give gifts instead of get gifts. Getting gifts like embarrasses me for whatever reason. So I like taking care of people. So what keeps me up at night isn't the thought of my cancer coming back and me doing it all over again.
Mhm.
What keeps me up at night is my friends who are very, very sick, who don't have the same genetics that I do and who can't have immunotherapy, who are living through COVID-19, who
Right.
can't get the chemotherapy that they need because of the state of our insurance. What keeps me up at night is the state of just the world right now and how cancer seems to be on the back burner, maybe. There's so much going on,
Right.
and rightfully so, we should be turning our attention to COVID-19, but there's still cancer. We, we're going to get right back to it after this vaccine is distributed. When COVID-19 is something that we're like, oh, we're not worried about, there's still going to be cancer. And so
Right.
cancer in and of itself keeps me awake at night. And if I'm doing enough to make sure that the people I love know that I love them. That keeps me up at night. Uh, I'm a little harsh on myself sometimes, so
Right.
I keep myself up at night with I
That's a
guess
lot.
I don't know,
Heavy thoughts.
my greatest failures. Right. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So that kind of stuff, I care so deeply for everyone around me, that seeing them go through what they're going through
Right.
is just as bad as it was watching myself go through it. So,
Right. Mhm. And what gets you
but you
up in the
always wake up
morning?
the
Like
next day.
what in the morning though, like when most people would just still get kind of stuck in that little rabbit hole, and that feeling of overwhelming um when life just freezes you and you don't know what to go forward, backwards, side to
Yeah.
side. Like what do you think about in the morning that really gives you that, no matter how crappy you wake up feeling, from that lack of sleep from thinking so hard the night before? What is the motivation in the morning to get up and do what?
So I made a very dear friend named Madeline, throughout, my whole diagnosis, and she was a stage 3 survivor. And then it came back and she became stage 4, and she and I just became so close so quickly. Um, she was such a light, and she did everything she could. She lifted up every stone. She tried every treatment. She tried more treatments than anyone I know now.
Right.
And in the end, it went to her brain, and she didn't make it much more beyond that. And so wh- what gets me up in the morning is doing it all for her. Um, I miss her so much, but the thought of her, um, it it inspires me. Um, so she does, because I know that she's looking down at me, and I know that she's judging everything I'm doing, and she's wanting to be at Sunday brunch with me, and she's laughing, and she's calling my husband daddy. There was so much to her, but
Mhm.
she gets me up, because I know that she's proud of me, and I know that she sees my faults and she forgives me, and I know that she is right there with me, and she's
Absolutely.
proud of me. And so the thought of that gets me up, because that in turn turns me into the person I want to be, as far as the community connector, and the
Right.
relationship builder with all these other survivors and patients. It's all
Mhm.
because of her. I do everything in her name now.
Exactly.
And I think she'd probably throw something at me for saying that. So, so that was
Yeah.
Madeline, but she does. The love, her love, my love for her,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
Because there could be somebody out there just like her that just wasn't blessed up to this point with the friendship and the love that you both shared. And someone out there needs that, and so there's a reason for you right now to be in great health and to be able to appreciate what a loving friendship and the support system that we as survivors can provide for newly diagnosed young adults, and the power that does for that newly diagnosed person. And so, she's sending you love. You're picking it right up, and you're the vehicle. You are the person that is going to be carrying that love down from her down to the rest of the community. And so, it's I always say love never dies. It never dies. It continues on.
Yeah.
And those of us that are open to that, we're able to channel it in here and bring it to this realm, to this level, and so that is so important. I'm the same way with my dear friend Reggie. He passed away much too soon, also stomach cancer at age 40. And I always think about the way he lived his life till the very last second. It was all about living life to the fullest and just loving and just being in the moment, present, at all times. And I always think that whatever experiences that I have, and the same with my sister, I'm going through whatever it is, but I'm bringing them with me, and their spirit always lives within me, and their love is always continuing to feed everything that I do in their name and in their honor. Um, we have a new administration with Mr. Biden and Mrs.
What?
Harris. Yes. It's a shock. I know. We were
When
all
did that
like,
happen?
we bit all the nails that we had, but
All of them.
we have amazing people now in government. And what what are some of the things that you feel like you would like the Biden Harris administration to know and to also focus on in terms of cancer, being that Mr. Biden comes from having already been part of an administration with Mr. Obama, that they were focusing on that, on cancer research and doing more for cancer. So what would you like President
Right.
Biden and Vice President Harris to focus on?
So, I know you're referring to the moonshot program, the cancer moonshot, and I when that happened, it was like, wow, someone in power is really doing something. I don't know what it's doing now, so I would like, first off, I would like to hear a big update. Maybe I could just Google it, but I'd like to hear more about it. I think the public should be hearing more about it. But what I would want them to prioritize right now is money for research,
Yeah.
whatever that means. Lots of money, lots of research.
Right.
But I think they need to be focusing on genetic sequencing
Yeah.
of cancer and biomarkers and hereditary versus non-hereditary and just getting all that sorted out.
Mhm.
I would love to see a huge focus on immunotherapy and precision medicine, but I think what is most important is somehow making it to where all the data is shared.
Absolutely. Mhm.
And you could either doctors from California and New York can talk and the data is just there and they're
Right.
all working together because right now we've got data that's everywhere. Like let's consolidate it, let's get that all
Right.
together because there's an answer in there somewhere because there was an answer for me and there was not supposed to be. So if there was an answer for an inoperable early onset stage 4 colorectal cancer named Steven in Denver, Colorado, there's an answer for someone else too. And I know
Exactly.
it. And I just think that if we shared the information and if we really put the best and brightest, and maybe it's sharing information from around the world. I mean, why
I
stop
was
with
gonna say,
America? Like, let's
I
go,
was gonna
let's go
say that.
global.
And
Pack it up. We're going
yeah,
global. So
and even alternative medicine, which has shown in different countries around the world, as a lot of benefits and a lot of improvements in the quality of life, and also to be able to extend life until something from the science world can be produced. Basically not
right.
allowing the body to deteriorate while waiting for the big miracle drug or procedure.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah, I mean, instead of like alternative medicine, that's such like a, ooh, should I do it? Should I not? I
It's
like
a
to call it
taboo.
complementary because,
Exactly.
right. I think that as long as your oncologist is, and I'm going to preface all this, if you're a survivor and you're doing complementary medicine, you must tell your doctor and you must make sure that they know,
All right.
because the strangest things interact with chemo. The
Oh yeah.
strangest things will block chemo from
Grapefruit
working.
juice.
You would never guess.
Grapefruit juice.
Grapefruit juice. When they told me don't drink it, I was like, first off,
Yes.
who drinks that? Second off, no problem. but
I
yeah,
well,
it's like
I always
weird stuff
enjoyed,
like that. So
yeah. I always enjoyed drinking ruby red grapefruit juice. I mean, it wasn't something that I had to have every
ooh,
morning or anything like that, but
ooh,
occasionally I would get kind of like in those moods where I wanted to have it. And I learned early on, that no, while you're doing these pills and doing this treatment, blah, 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 don't do it. And so it kind of broke the pattern of me wanting to drink it. So, but now that I'm done with everything, now occasionally I think about it. I'm like, oh yeah, I can drink it again, but you kind of lose the taste for it. Like you end up
I can
choosing
have
something
that.
else. But yeah, absolutely. I
Yeah,
would
no
say
thanks. You can
natural
keep
is
it.
not always better or a good, because nature sometimes can cause
Right.
more harm than good.
hmm I agree. Uh, discuss it with your doctor before you do it. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
But there are things out there that help. And I won't go into detail about anything that I did, but I know we're short on time. But there's information out there. There
Yeah.
is. I live in Denver, Colorado. I'll leave it up to you to figure out what I did. So,
Yes.
um, but I think as long as the doctor is aware, it's all good.
Exactly. What is what are, it could be one or more, but what are some of your goals for 2021 in regards to cancer? Like, what would you like to see done, or what are you planning or working on?
So I mentioned earlier I work with the Colorectal Cancer Alliance, and just a quick little plug. If you're a colorectal cancer survivor, a patient, or a caregiver, you can join us at ccalliance.org for some of our patient and family support programs.
Yeah.
I have the immense honor of being the manager of our newest online community, Ally to Ally, and that's allytoally.org. It's a community for people like us who understand what it's like to have colon or rectal cancer and all the surgeries with it. So for 2021, I would like to, we just launched in September of 2020.
Oh,
I
okay.
would like to see this community grow immensely because the value that I see in it, and the conversations that patients are having amongst each other already, even as a new community,
Mhm,
um, it's incredible. It's
mhm.
incredible to see the power of love and the power of community. So personally, that's what I want to see. If I had an overreaching, huge goal for cancer in 2021, I would say, uh, what is that saying? Cancer. I hope that cancer gets cancer and dies. So that's my other one.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, that sounds amazing. I think that the fact that you are able to inspire those around you and those that you don't even know yet, but through these types of groups and these opportunities that we can do so much outreach to people that definitely need it. I think it's just so it's just something that really transcends cancer. It really does
Mm,
transcend the illness, and how we're able to turn that those lemons and those limes and turn them into a fabulous drink that so many people can live and thrive because of it. Definitely social media has been a huge element that we didn't have 20, 30 years ago. And so our duty as
right.
survivors is to be able to share our story and be able to help those newly diagnosed young adults and young adults. For me, it could be all the way to 100, honey, because everybody can still stay young at heart. So it really is about just extending your life through cancer and after cancer, and make your life the best it can be, not only for yourself, but also how you are able to reach and touch so many lives because of it, because of your story. So it has been such an honor and such a delight to have you be part of this Thriver Thursday, Stephen. I really, really am so grateful, and I appreciate you and our friendship throughout these years. We met quite a few years ago through the organization Stupid Cancer, and I'm extremely grateful to that organization as well, because it has brought us into each other's lives, and I really, really appreciate that. And I know that a lot of
Yeah.
groups out there are sort of modeling themselves in the style of Stupid Cancer, to be able to provide a little bit more focus on specific types of cancer and things like that. So thank you so much. You have an open invitation anytime to come back to us and to share anything you'd like to share with us. I know that the community is super appreciative for all that you're doing, and also send my love to Kenley as well and all of the fur babies. I
Absolutely.
that I know that has had such a positive impact in your life as well, to have these fur babies in your life. So we'll be posting a couple of pictures of them and of Kenley as well at the end of our program. And I will also be listing all the links of all the different organizations that Stephen has mentioned during this episode, so you guys can check it out and connect with him as well. So thank you so much again. I look forward to seeing you very soon. And I hope you have a fantastic
Yeah.
day, Stephen. Sending a lot of love to you.
Thank you. Thank you, and happy World Cancer Day. I'll see
Yay!
you soon.
All right, sweetheart. Take care. Bye.